We are up to Daf Lamed Hey Amid Aleph, and the last thing we learned was Rav Huna's Chiddush that we make the Shema swear before, even though he voluntarily wants to pay. Instead of saying that it got stolen and he would have been exonerated, we say no problem. It'll be very nice of you, but first swear Shvua She'ena B'Shusay, that you don't really have it in your premises and you just think to yourself, I'm paying for it. What's the big deal? So now we're asking, and we learned this whole lengthy Bryce yesterday about a conversation between a borrower and a lender where there was a security and got lost. And the first part is where the lender is saying that the security didn't cover the whole loan, and depends if the borrower completely denies it, then he doesn't have to. He says, no, yes, it did. Then he doesn't have to swear. But if the borrower says it did not cover the whole loan, but it covered more than you say, then that's somebody that makes us swear. Or that's the Reisha. The safe was the other way around, with the borrower saying that the value of the mashkin exceeded the value of the loan, and if the lender completely denies, he doesn't have to swear. But if the lender says it wasn't more, not as much as you say, then he has to swear moed and miktas. And then we said that in fact we want the lender always be the one to swear. We said because we don't want him to produce later the picot and the security say, hey, you lied because I have it right here. So it comes along, we're up to here, we learned Rav Ashi, his shot that they both actually have to swear, but first the lender swears, Shein B'Shusay. We're up to now, the Gemara would say, Rav Huna bar Tachlifa. Rav Huna, it's about 15 lines on top of the page. Rav Huna bar Tachlifa, Mashmei de Rabba. Rav Huna bar Tachlifa, Rav Huna son of Tachlifa, in the name of Rabba says, Reisha de Seifa, the first case in the second half, where the borrower is claiming from the lender, and he says to the lender, the security was worth more than the loan, pay me, it was worth double the loan, and the lender says, not true, it was worth the exact same amount of money, so he's a kafir hakel, doesn't have to swear. L'chayde is a question of why is that? The concept we learned on Avov, in other places, the idea of Gilgul Shavua, that once I can impose one Shavua, I can add as many Shuas as I want. So if Rabbi Huna is right, that every time the person that like the shayman and the lender is a shayman on the security, even though he denies it, he has to swear Eida B'Shus, it's no longer in his B'Shus, the security. The moment he swears that, you can then megalgal more shvuas, so you can make him swear about the value of the security. Why does it say that the Malva is Patra, doesn't have to swear anything at all, since he has to swear anyway Eida B'Shus, according to Rabbi Huna, let him also swear about the value of security. He's an ayah that there is no shvuah whatsoever. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Huna bar Tachlifa, with the plan and we're still discussing Rabbi Huna, who says that you have to swear, in addition, a shvuah that you no longer have in your premises before you willingly pay. So Rabbi Huna bar Tachlifa said, Reisha de Seifa, the second half of that Braisa, where the Malva is the defendant, where the labor says that the collateral is worth more than the actual loan, and the lender says no, it was exactly the same amount of loan, and we say Kaifer Hakel, you are potter, is a problem with Rabbi Huna. Why? The case is sell he'll be sunny. You lent me a sella shtayim how you shove it, but the security was worth double that. It's exactly the same amount. They owe you nothing. Potter, he's a Kaifer Hakel, he's potter. So the question is, we know the concept of Gugushua, but imisal that Rabbi Huna is right. That he has to swear that I no longer have it on my premises as collateral. The moment you swear that, you can add in any shvur you want. So you can add the shvur, tell me the value of the security. So why do we say that he's part of swearing? Once he has to swear that's no longer his shus. Let's also that let's give a shvur to swear about the value of the security. Kam how Yishachar is worth. Is that there's no shvur there. So Omar Rav Ashi says a good question. Amrita l'shmaite kamei Rav Kahana. I repeated this to Rav Kahana, and this is not the same Rav Kahana we know who the end of Bava Metzia was a Talmud of Rav, with the Talmud of Yochanan, obviously many generations later. But Omar Li, and he told me, hey, you know how we learn this Brisa? Rav Huna is right, but here there's no shvur. There's no shvur she'ein b'shus. You know why? Because the Leiva believes the Malva. The moment the Malva said, look, I don't have it, I lost it, the Leiva said, okay, I trust you. Is to hey ben ma'aminai. He trusts him. So you notice, if the labor trusts him, then what having a dispute? If the Malva says the value of the collateral is equal to the loan, and the labor trusts the Malva, end of discussion. Well, what's going on here? The labor doesn't trust the Malva. It does. But then the labor the Malva gam bahal, then believe also the value of the security. Kama have a show how much worth. Says the Gemara like Kim later go. The labor says, look, he's an honest person. But I don't think he understands value of products, and he doesn't know the value of my security that I gave him. And therefore, I am, I'm claiming it's more than that. But he so if the labor trusts the malva, so when the malva the labor, let the what do you call it? Let the lender trust the labor. Okay, the labor will know better what the value of collateral is because it's his. He bought it. He made it. Whatever it is, so he'll know much better. So if the labor trusts the malva, then you would think that the malva would reciprocate and trust the labor, and the labor says this is the value, and the labor would know. The malva should trust him. Why are they having a dispute? The malva labor, the kim labor got made. The labor knows what he's talking about. The malva doesn't trust the labor. So what's going on there? The Levi, the Mehem Malva. Why does the Levi tell me there's trust in Malva? You're not telling me a unique case. You tell me this is how it usually is. The Levi trusts the Malva, but the Malva doesn't trust the Levi. Why is that?
It's not factual. You think if he lost it or not, it's a fact.
Yeah, but if he trusts the Malva, integrity.
They can value it differently.
Yeah, but the difference is we're saying here the Levi created this thing or he bought it. So he has an idea, a good idea of the value is. It's his. The Malva not allowed to use it. So why he puts it aside in a safe or something? Why would he know the value? So therefore, in this case here, we trust the labor more than Malva. The question is, the Malva trust the labor? It seems that he doesn't. It seems that labor generally trusts the Malva is honesty, and the Malva does not trust the labor's honesty here. So the question is, why not? And what also an interesting thing here.
Yeah, it's interesting because we often have the English we try to make it as easy as possible. The Malva that he shouldn't have to make things like that.
Yeah, but here's a shamer. This is not on the loan part. He's a shamer on the mashkin part. We're discussing the mashkin there. That's a little bit different. Thinking about I understand, but the din of Ein B'Shus is a din of shamer. Every shamer has to say that. So it's not. We're not picking on the Malva. And if he doesn't doesn't have it, then he's allowed to make the shoe. It's not a problem. So it's not going to be Manuel Delis. We're not making him any. Okay. Most of the so much like this. Leiva make time Leiva Malva. This is very interesting. The Leiva trust the Malva because Abish should trust the Malva. Why did a Malva usually either has and the Leiva does not have? The Malva usually has money. The Abish should trust him with money. Teumas Yesharim Tanchem. That the innocence of Yesharim or the Tmimus of Yesharim of righteous people Tanchem, you'll be led. The Abish should trust this guy with money to distribute to the poor and to help other people out. I have to trust him also. But the Malva doesn't trust the Leiva. He follows another pasuk. That Visala Boigdim, that those traders, will make them poor, take away the money. Those people who are devious, Boigdim, and the traders and so on. In other words, why Taka does this person not have money? Maybe he can't be trusted with money. So why trust him? Interesting. We have all these other psukim that say supposed to help out poor people. Punk this pasuk, this guy knows.
Because they're spelled the same, except the Malva has something that the Leiva doesn't. He has a mem. Mem is for boys.
Oh,
he has the geld. The other fellow is the same as him, except for the geld.
Doesn't very good. I think it's very brilliant. Actually, remind me, I'll tell you a thing about Mafkid when I learned on Mafkid. But who guy was a person? The Afka keep he once gave to mind a bracelet to his friend. Amalei, he said to him, "No, how give it back to me." Give it back to me. Have no recollection where I put it. Also, he was a Shemechinim. He was minding his braces for him. He said, Shemechinim, generally, if you lose, you pot it. But here he says he has no idea. So it sounds like he was negligent. If he knew where he put it, it's gone, it lost. So he's a Shemechinim, he's potted. But here he says, I have no idea where I put it. So then, anyone who says, I don't know, is a pshir negligent, and he's responsible. Zil Shalom, go pay. Loishil, he refused to pay. Oslo of Nachman, we have this expression everywhere. So Nachman was one tough of a guy. He Tafka took his palace away from him. He would go ahead and seize properties and everything else to make sure that his psukim get carried out. L'soif, Ishtakin keep it. Then they found these bracelets and so on. And those men, the thing was the price, the value of this bracelet now went up in value. Suddenly, so this shamer now, who paid for it, has the bracelet and he had a gain. Amr said, "How to keep we're not going to let you benefit from it. Give it back to the real owner. We'll give it back to your palace." Amr Rava says, The Rabbi says, "Have you seen the Kamei Nachman and Pirkei Mafkid?" We were learning. I was talking then before the Nachman, and we were learning Pirkei Mafkid. And Amri lay, and I said to him, "What do you mean? Shilim v'leirotzu l'shava." He paid. Didn't want to swear. Leia had over there said what that the ganif that the shema gets to keep the kefil. So l'chayr over here, now that he had a nose back and it went up in value, he should get to keep it. Why do you have to? Why are you taking it back from him? Lahad didn't answer me. Shaprav lahad good. He didn't answer me. Timer hasam le'atzachele bedina. There he gets the windfall of the kefil because what he did was he mitigated all the pain and suffering from the owner of the cotton. So therefore he deserves some kind of a reward. Hacha atzachele bedina. He had to go to the trader and he refused to pay. What, and he should benefit from it. No. Remember. So what can we conclude from here? That even though we sorted it out and this guy paid, but it can always reverse that. Remember, say this: whenever let's say, whenever we go and we take, we assess the value and we take it away from you, you can reverse. In other words, if the labor didn't have any money, the balchayv could labor, hey, you owe me $100. The 2 days, happened already, and the guy can't pay. The balchayv is entitled to take property away. But if the labor 6 months later it comes, it comes across some money, he has a right to go to the balchayv and say, here. The money I owe you, here, take the money, give it back my field. Shuma Hada. When Shuma is assessing, when we assess the field, you can always take it back. The Gemara says, so Nachman, because Nachman obviously holds Shuma Hada, because he said by the keeper, you can take it back. Shiny Hassan, the Shuma B'Toisav. No, the whole thing there was an error. Could be that Nachman holds that once the Baal Chai takes the property, it's over and done with, and you cannot force him to give it back to you. In the case of the jewelry, over there, the whole thing was a mistake because we thought it was no longer there. It turned out to be it was in the house. He just couldn't remember where he put it. So the whole thing was based on a toss. That's why we could reverse this deal. How the kippur mikara, the kippur was always there. He just didn't know where it was. Now talking about Shema Hada, we already had this previously in the Gemara earlier on in the first page. Amin Adoy said, Shema Hada we give the guy, the borrower, 12 months to reverse it. You can go and find the money and give it back to the Baal Chai, take his field back. Shasha. But Amar said that I know you guys say that this was the door. He said, I'm from the door, but I hold that Shubha Hadal Ilam. He's always entitled to get his property back. The Hilchas Shubha Hadal Ilam, not because of halacha he can. Once it's done, it's done. It's Mishnah says, "Sisa Hayasha V'Hatay." Do the right thing. At the end of the day, you lent money and you expected money in return. You just didn't have. So do the right thing, be a mensch, and give him back his property so that he can pay you the money, which originally that's when you lent the money. You anticipated to get money from him.
There are a lot of problems to be solved if they have an agreed value for the mashkin. It's what
That's what by women. That's next to chain bars. You fix them. When a woman brings it to a marriage, 2 kinds of property. One of them he fixes the value on the property, and no matter how many years they're married, if it doesn't work out, they break off. Takes it back.
I come to you and ask you for
but it's not fair.
$1,000. Here's my gold Rolex. It's worth $5,000. You said no, it's only worth $3,000. So we record.
Yeah, but prices can't. There's inflation. There's deflation. You can't do that. You can't do that because also the marbles then it also looks like ribis. If you let's say
the inflation applies to the money he left also.
Money is money, but we said but a commodity you cannot. We'll see more Asian. You can't let saw and then pay back a saw because a commodity changes value. It's like ribis, and okay, pshit. Now if you didn't, that's for sure. Shamal al Let's say they assessed the value of the property was EU b'shamal al So. Reuben lent money to lent money to Shimon, and Shimon lent money to Levi. Levi couldn't pay. Shimon sees the property from Levi. Then Shimon couldn't pay the money to Reuben. So Reuben sees that very same property, let's say, from Shimon. So when we say that Levi has the right to go to Shimon and say, "Hey, give me back my property and money," can he go to the end guy? You're no better. Then what you bought was the rights that the person had from the vendor. The vendor himself would have lost the property and taken the money. So to you lose the property and you got to give back the money. Okay. However, because this is about Sisha Yoshua Tev, not a din. This is Yoshua Tev. Zovna. But what happens if the lender took the property, but he sold it to somebody else? Now that person who bought it bought it on the smack that he wants property. Not like a lender who lent money expecting to get money in return, and then he took the property. So be a mensch. You never expected to get property, give the property back. But the guy who bought it bought property, or so the guy, the lender died, and the yash and his children. They expected to get property, or the other matana gave it away as a gift. In that case, they all went in to get the property. The Labadat didn't expect to get money, and therefore the borrower has no right now to force them to give the property back. Okay, what happens if Shamu Lola, let's say they assessed the property to a woman, the Intzva, then she got married. And let's say this is Nichsen Malay, that property still belongs to the woman. It still belongs to the woman. In other words, she was a lender. The guy couldn't pay. They gave her property, but she didn't give it to the husband as Nichsen Shabbat. She gave Nichsen Malay. I mean, the property is still hers. So the that didn't should be. But now what happens is now that she got married, the husband has the paytas, and she has the kedem. So do we say we have a sister? I'll tell you, if the borrower comes over to her 2 years later, here's the money that I owed you, and give me back my property. But now the husband has rights in that property, right? Because he has the paytas. The insiba, yep, that's one case. Oishamo mina, the isha, the insiba, or they took from her, and then she got married. She was the borrower. She couldn't pay, so they took her property away from her. But now the husband says, "I have money. I want to pay you back. Give us back the property." And then she died. So now it's the husband who's there. What's the role of the husband here? We made a special takana that a husband should be considered a lekeach, a purchaser, not a yodish, but a purchaser. And therefore, loy meheder, if the wife is the one who received the property from the borrower, couldn't pay. But now that she died, she passed it on to her husband. The husband is a lekeach. What did we say before by a lekeach? What is it about lekeach? That once the lenders unsold the property, the borrower has no right to take it back. So therefore, you can't take it back. But if the wife gave up the property, and now he says to the people who got it, "I want it back," since he's merely a lekeach, he cannot take it back. You cannot take it back. Says the Gemara, we said by Isha that if she is, let's say, sold her nechassim while husband alive, the mesa she died, the bow if the husband would have been a yiddish, she already sold the properties, nothing left to yashin. What right does the husband have? But because we treat the husband as soon as they got married as a purchaser, then his purchase took place prior to the second purchaser, therefore he's entitled to it. What happens? Let's say the guy decided to pay, not to go to Bezin, there was no fight. The guy decided on his own to give the property back, to give the property to the lender. What happens then? Usually what happens is the labor has no money to pay, the Bava goes to Bezin, the Bezin gives him the rights to go to the labor and to seize the property. And then we say, do the right thing, and the labor has the money, give it back to him. What about the labor voluntarily gives the property to the Malva? Look, I have the money here to take the property. Does the labor still have the right to unravel that and pay money? That he can also have the right. So in this case, it's like he sold it to him. He gave it to him voluntarily. It's as if he gave it up. He said, "Here, take it." It's like he said, "You know what? It's like let's turn the whole loan into a sale, and I'm selling you the property, so you can no longer unravel it." However, that in this case, it's not a sale. So Hakim so readily gave up the property. Why didn't you go to Bezin's and behind the Agbe Medaite? Why didn't you go to trade the Machmas Kisuva the Agbe? He was embarrassed. He's embarrassed. Says the Gemara, when do we say that the Malva, the Bezin Paskins to the Malva, you have a right to take the property? When do you say it becomes that the ownership transfers to the Malva, you can start eating the produce and all that? Rabba says, remember, you have 90 days that Bezin gave a psak, and if we cannot find any property, we give him a drachte, that we says to him, go and do your search and find whatever you can. And then we give a star drachte. And after that, we have a thing called hachroza, like an auction. Even though you found the property, now we auction, or maybe somebody will give, even though the value of the property is $100, maybe somebody out there is willing to pay $150. So we do a chroza, which is 30 days, 60 days. So the Gemara says, Rabbi says, as soon as he has that star, to give him the right to seize it, that's the moment. And as soon as he sees the property, he can start eating it's his. The moment they gave him the star, before he even sees the property, because the Adam, as soon as they sign, it already makes it his. So therefore, since now he knows the property is, so therefore he can start eating pay straight away. And Rabbi says, you got to wait till the days, the 30 days of Achroza, the auction ends before he can step in and eat the pay. It's not like a buyer. Says the Mishnah, Reuven rents a part from his friend, and the thing is that when you rent, you're chayiv for not only negligence, you're chayiv if it got stolen, you're chayiv for if it got lost. And what happened was, so Reuven rented it, Shimon rented from Reuven, and then he lent it on to Levi. And the discussion tomorrow's mother is, can a Shema give it to another Shema? We did have before, Ein Hashoy, that's a Lahashal, and the second thing, a borrower cannot lend to somebody else. Here the guy was a renter, and he lent it to somebody else. But what happened was a Metzia Daf. It died a natural death, it was an accident, which means the Sheikhid is potter from paying by an accident. But the Shoyel is Chayiv. So who does the Shoyel pay to? So the Sheikhid swears, this was the mission saying, you make a business out of it. The Sheikhid swears to the owner, look, it was died natural causes, he has whatever, so he's potter. But the Shoyel is Chayiv to who? To the Sheikhid. Look at that, he made money, it's not even his cow. It sounds so unfair, but that's how it is. Yishav HaSheikhid Shmeis Gedarka, the Sheikhid swears that died Gedarka, the Shoyel Yishav HaSheikhid, the Shoyel pays the Sheikhid. Amr Rabbi Yossi, so unfair. Kate said, "Hello, Oisus Chayde beParasha Chalayde." So the Reuben, the owner of the animal, just made a hefsid, a loss, and Shimon, who's not even his cow, made a profit. It doesn't make sense. It's not right. Give the part back to the bailim. In other words, the shoyel has to pay who? The owner. Yeah, but it means the money. But who does the shoyel pay to? Not to the soicher. He pays it to the owner, the original owner of the cow. Says the Gemara, according to Tanakama, the Seicher now gets the money. I mean, he became the owner of the cow. How did he become the owner of the cow? That he should be entitled to the money. What makes this part of the Seicher? The moment he swore. When he swore that it died, the oinus, he now became the owner of the cow. The name of the masculine Seicher, the masculine says, I'm not going to let you swear. Dal and Vidal Rosal, goodbye. Yet I don't want you sure, so therefore the shoyel has to deal with me. In other words, the only reason why you're the owner is you became the owner is because you swore, and the swearing is like you pay me back. The swearing is a way as if you can pay me back with the actual animal, or you pay me back because of the swear that was an onus. I don't want you sure, so therefore it's still my cow. But I'm not mistaken. The how the shoyel. I was going to deal with the shoyel. Amalei, he said to him, "You think it's a shavua? What kind of kinyan is that?" Amalei, misavich soiche b'shvua dekakana. You think that's a transfer of ownership when he swore? Mishas misa the moment the animal died in an onus and the soiche is potter, that is what made the soiche potter. That made the soiche potter, and therefore he became the owner. The shavua. In other words, it's as if we're saying in the Gemara here, the moment you were shamer, what do you call? There's two ways of looking at it. Do we say that's always a balabosses, and if it died by accident, that's when it becomes a shamer? Or do we say that from the beginning it became the shamer's animal, and he owes an animal back? And if it died by oinus, as if he paid it back. So the moment the animal died, he paid it back already. The owner doesn't know yet if it died, how it died, whatever you need a shvua. The shvua just to verify what already happened. So therefore, it became the shamer the moment he paid it back. The moment he died, he paid it back.
What sort of opinion does he do?
When he made the Mashiach in the beginning, you're right. He made the Mashiach in the beginning, it's as if it becomes the Chalem. Shvu is merely there to placate the owner and say, this is what happened. Now, the Halmi Kopet. This is based on the Tanakama, the unfair thing that the Seicher should now make a profit. Says that the Seicher can make so many profits for one animal, it's amazing. Just like the can of sardines that makes its way around and around. Like this. Reuben is the owner of the animal, Shimon is the Seicher. So we learned that if Shimon lends it to Levi and then the animal dies, Shimon is one who makes the money. Instead of Shimon lending it to Levi, Shimon lends it back to the owner. The owner suddenly realizes he needed it. It makes no difference who the shoyel is. So what happens if now, while in the shoes of the owner. So what happened was Reuben rented to Shimon for 100 days. And he says, Shimon, I need the animal back. I want to borrow it for 90 days, and I owe you the animal back for 10 days. So the owner owes the sort of two animals to the tzeicher. He borrowed an animal from him, so he's a borrower, and then he has to give back an animal for the last 10 days. But what happened was, while was Reuben Shus died? So Reuven now has to pay to two animals now to Shimon. First of all, the animal died while he was a shayil. He's no different than a fremder, so he has to reimburse Shimon. Shimon doesn't pay anything to Reuben because he was a renter, and a renter is potter from Linus. But Reuben also has to give Shimon an animal for the last 10 days. So one animal he'll give back to after the 10 days, he gives it back to Reuben. One animal gets to keep. Then what happened was, Shimon said, after Reuben borrowed it for 5 days, Shimon said, I really need the animal. Let me rent this animal from you. So he rented it again for 70 days. And then Reuben said, I really need it back. I'll borrow it for 60 days. And then Shimon said, I really need it, so I'll rent it to you for 60 days. Back and forth, he rented it 5 times, and he borrowed it 5 times. And if the animal died only once, he's 5 borrowers of this one animal. So he owes 5 animals to Shimon for borrowing it each time it died by this. And he has to give him 5 animals for the remaining days for each one of them. Yeah, it sounds very unfair.
Well, he deserves it. He's charging him every time, again and again and again. He's borrowing it for free.
Okay, look what he says there. So I'm going to say, how? So Shimon rented it from Reuben for 100 days. But and then Reuben said, I'm desperate, give it back to me for whatever, 90 days. And then he rented him for 80 days. And then he borrowed it back for 70 days. And if we keep on going. But died while he borrowed it. So he owes him 2 potters for the shayla, 5 if there were 5 borrowings, 5 potters, and he has to give him a potter so he can finish those days for each one of those rental periods. That doesn't make sense. This is really bad. It's always the same can of sardines. It's one potter. It's one cow here. It's the same cow going back and forth. How can you pay 5 cows for one cow? It doesn't make sense. We're only dealing with one cow. How can one cow generate 10 cows? Amalei, he said to him, if the potter was here, you're right. Is the potter around the name Lehachi? Because the potter is not here, therefore I can charge you 5 potters for the one potter that's not here. If the potter would have been here, you can't always will give back the potter, and it's all over. But because there's no potter here, each occasion is separate. I like Ravacha better. Can't be that one potter should generate so many. The original owner owes us 2 potters, one to because he borrowed and died, and one to let him finish off his rental period. And I don't care how many times they go through the year. Yeah, exactly what I said. One is borrowed, one is rented, and Shum Shaila Achad, Shum Schid Achad. It doesn't matter how many times he borrows. There's only one. It's only one borrowing, and no matter how many times he rents, there's only one renting. The Shaila Kani Legambri. So the renter gets to keep the animal, the one that he lent back to the owner. And the schidus over by Yemei Schidasa. Umehed the Lele Mother. But the schidus one, he uses it for the balance, whatever it is that he rented it, and he gives it back to the guy. Omer Yemi says, sometimes Shneim Bechatas. In other words, the din is if you swear. And if you swear false and you actually swore in order to make money, to save yourself money, then you bring a carbon asham. If you swore shvur bita, but it's a false shvur, but there's no money involved, you don't save your money, then you bring a carbon chatas. They come along, who else would that be here? Sometimes you'll find that both of them, the seicher and the shoyl. Reuven was the owner, he rented it out to Shimon, and Shimon lent it to Levi. And then something happened, and then Shimon has to swear, and Levi has to swear. Sometimes both of their shvuos would bring them only a chatzah. In other words, they weren't saving any money anyway. Sometimes they both swore false in order to save money, and therefore they both bring a carbon asham. Sometimes the seicher swore, didn't gain anything. He could have said the truth, would have been just as well potted. But the shoyl lie, try to get out of it, and he brings an ashram. And pamim shaseiche ba'ashram all the way around. The seiche is the one who lie, try to benefit ashram, but shoyl b'chatas. Okay, let's go through quickly each one. Kviras mammon is ashram. If you lie, if you swear false, and you try to make money, you bring carbon ashram. But bitus fasayim, you swore false, but there's no money involved in chatas. So it goes like this. Pamim shebechatas, you're going shemeisik it died ba'oinus. Ba'omru, and they said They said it died not the dark some other way. It was stolen by this guys came, listed Mizuin and so on. Now this shavu is false. But did they gain anything? If they would have said the truth, Nothing would have changed. The Shayl would have had to pay, and the Seichel would have been potted. So they both swore false, but nothing to gain. And you bring karma chatas. Seichel, the benkach mit the pot. Seichel, regardless whether it died because listed mezuin or if it was even, they would have been potted. But it's therefore bringing chatas. Shayl, either way, you pay anyway. Whether it was listed mezuin, whether it died, natural cause or whatever, both of them you pot. He's chayiv. So you gain nothing from Yeshua, so you bring chatas. Sometimes Shneim Ba'ashim, they both swore false in order to gain some monetary gain. Kigain was stolen. But what they said was Mesa Machmas Malacha, where even a Shoyel is pot. Now a Seichel is high for stolen as well. So they both swore false in order to gain an advantage. The Tavai could cover him. They would be chayiv because it was stolen. The Seichel goes to chayiv, and become pot of Shayu. They tried to pattern themselves. Okay, Seiche. What's the case of Seiche bechatas v'shoyel b'ashem? Seiche machas malacha or Seiche shoyel's pocket? No, that's a separate thing. There's a thing called that the owner is there. That's a second. If the owner works for you, whatever, that will get to an shoyel. Seiche bechatas v'shoyel b'ashem. So what happens? The Seiche, sometimes the Seiche is the one who benefits and the shoyel does not. The Seiche does not benefit, but the shoyel does. For example, Shemeisik Darka, it died naturally, with the Seiche would have been put anyway. But they both swore false. Mesa Mach Malacha. Seiche the benkach with the put anyway would have been put. What did he gain from the shul? Nothing. So Chai bechatas. Shoyel the Mechayev is Chai b'Meisik Darka if it died by accident. Because put the nafshe Mesa Malacha, he's claiming he died Malacha. He's trying to have an advantage. Is ba'ashim. Seiche ba'ashim v'shoyel b'chav. When's the other way around? And the Seiche tried to gain the shoyel. The Seiche tried to gain shoyel didn't. Shenigno was stolen, so the Seiche is chayiv. But Amr Meisa Kedarka. He said died by oinus. Seiche the chayiv b'gnei the kapot and ashmei Kedarka. He would have been chayiv. Now he's trying to exempt himself. You like Ashim, but Ashim shoyel the benkach yuvim b'chayiv b'chatas, and the shoyel, but whichever way it is chayiv chatas. We'll just quickly finish Gemara. My kamashlan. What Abimi said is obvious. Everything he said, very nice, but everything he says is just straightforward. La Fukir Abami doesn't agree with any of this. Why? Because Omar, he said, when do you swear? When do you bring a carbon for Shavuos B'Turi if you voluntarily made a false Shavuot? Here, the Bezin, these Shavuos, the Bezin is saying to you, you're a Shema, you got to swear. The Kol Shavuot Shadayoni Mashbina, if the Bezin should swear, ain't Chayovin Olem Shushim, even if you swore false, you're bringing a carbon. Shenemar says, I nefesh, in the Pasuk it says, that oy nefesh kisishba levate or kishishava levate b'sasayin kishishava ma'atzma. Kamashvalon the loy kirab ami. But even the better force you start bringing a carbon chatas or asham if you swore false. Okay, have a good day, everybody. See you tomorrow.